All right. So part of the um, series on Java versus Rust, we are going to talk about the differences between Java versus Rust on how they manage the dependency um, um, at a file level, right? So for Java, we use pom.xml, and for Rust, we use cargo.toml. Some say toml, some says toml. However you name it, uh, they um, they are used as a build as a way to manage packages. So let's start with the Java side of things first, and then I'll go over the Rust. Okay, so starting with the Java side, right? So, I have a very basic REST controller, REST API that I'll use for the demo. We won't be going over the performance today, but we'll just go over the .xml versus the how the dependencies are managed and all. Okay, so let me actually also open the Rust. Now on the Rust, we are also going to do the same thing. We are going to use a uh, the Actis Wave framework, which will act as similar to Java. And we are going to call the hello function here, which will get which we are going to use this as imagine this as a at REST control annotation, but on the Java side. So anytime a REST request comes in, it will go to the hello world and do this. But anyway, so I won't go into the details on how we're constructing like the new HTTP server object and all. Um, we'll just use this for the demo, but we'll go over over some of the ways we do this. Okay. All right. Let me maximize this. So let's start with the first one, right? So on Rust, your application is packaged in a very easy way actually. The more I go into Rust, I see that Rust has um, well the ease of reading is there on the Rust more than the pom.xml, right? Obviously XML is the old format we use, whereas toml is sort of new. It kind of looks like similar to YAML file, but um, they um, they claim that uh, they are friendly with the hash table compared to other languages. Obviously, YAML file and all they do some form of hashing. But yeah, let's go back to okay. Let's go back to the pom.xml. So with the Rust, right, we don't have anything like this. The concept of saying that we'll be using a starter dependency on Rust side of things. We let's say if you wanted to use some Rust starter type that we find in Spring Boot, what you can do is you'll have to find a existing repo or something and see if it actually has several sub dependencies to it, and then sort of use it. But we didn't have a word like starter on the cargo. Um, and let's go back to Java now. We also don't have any concept like licenses, developers, and all. The properties, for example, Java version 11, right? So if I go to Rust, we give the version of the project, but we don't necessarily are giving a Java version, right? Obviously, Cargo does not depend on any JVM. any binaries that are built um, based on the binaries of that machine, right? Let's say if I were to do a cargo clean, it will build a exe file because this is Windows, right? But whereas in Java side of things, or if I were to do Maven clean install, it will build a jar or war file depending on however your project is set up, right? So because it is dependent on the JVM, so it has to build the jar file or WAL file. And then the dependencies we define with the artifact IT operations and all. So um, we could argue that the readability is great on this. It really depends on how what on what type of reading patterns you are familiar with. But same thing. The dependencies will put here, and then we'll just say, hey, I'm using this version 4, somewhat kind of like looks like Angular, right? The package JSON saying it's compatible up to 4.11.0, and then this is also telling you that this is not being actively used, explicitly used. Let's put the right word, explicitly used. And let's say if you want to add some test cases, you do it. Now, if you look at this closely, right? So I only needed like 14 lines. Number of lines does not define what's good and what's actually best. But time wise, if you know what you are doing, it's just less number of lines, and you're able to do the same thing compared to the Java side of things, right? Obviously, I don't need all of these. This was for some other demo that I was doing, right? So I'm not using like Jot on this demo. None of these, but obviously it won't be less than 14. Even with the Spring Boot, we have to tell Spring Boot that, hey, this is how I'm going to compile your code and all. And all of this goes away. Rust is pretty smart to know how it should build the program, right? Okay, so that's the high level view on the Java, on the Rust versus um, Java. And Rust uses Cargo.toml, and Java uses pom.xml. Now we have the file names, right? So now how do we even make it to a point where it's building things? So on the Java side of things, we are using a Maven build. It's a tool to build. It's a tool that um, is quite smart to know your dependencies, is able to build things for you, and create a jar and war file. Especially, it will be on your target folder. So this is something it will look like. Let's go here. Um, Maven clean. Right. So Maven clean install will build the project for you. Create a jar file, war file, however you defined it on your end. So Maven clean install will scan your project, build the dependencies, and have things ready for you. So in this demo, I am going to build this as a jar file. One thing I've seen on the Java side is um, building is quite faster compared to Rust. But then again, it's really on the number of dependencies you have, number of checks you do in your program, number of quality checks, test cases, and all that you have. Um, okay, so this is Maven clean. Let's say this is complete or not. Should be done now. Yeah. So Maven clean install for Java. That Maven build tool will build this POM file, and also to it has to we run this command where we have our pom.xml file, right? So that's that. Now I'm gonna do something similar to Maven clean install, but on the Cargo side of things, right? So On the cargo side of things, we are going to say cargo build. So what this will do is cargo will look for the dependencies that we have, gather all the crates it can. So crates is somewhat similar to the wording that we use in Java as jar files. Imagine you have a cargo, but you need several crates to stack up so that you build a cargo kind of concept. So it's several jars if you were to take it. So same concept with the Maven clean install, but in the cargo side of things. Um, okay, so let's go to and also we have cargo run, right? So like Maven run command would be same as cargo run. Okay, so it's gonna run your program, and you don't even have to run it from here. For this demo, I'm not going to run the program itself and do API call and all, but just wanted to show you the differences between how we store the dependencies and how we build it. So remember, I built this program here, right? So it will be created on a target folder somewhere. Let's see, yeah, right here. As you can see, it built as a jar file, and we could start this. We could copy this jar file, deploy it in any other like servers where we have the Java installed and all right. So I will use the good old Java command arguments to run this jar file. Now going back to Rust side of things, as you can see, it is smart enough to know that this is running in Windows and it will create a demo.exe file for you. Let me stop this. And the good thing is that we don't have to worry about JVM, we don't have to worry about installing JDK, DRE, and all that, right? To run this program. So this is window. It built it um, like it built as a exe file. Um, yeah, and then you just run that exe file. If it's Linux, it's gonna open. It won't obviously be exe, but along those lines, right? So and then you just run it. Um, I can't think of anything that's at a very high level, the differences between these two. But yeah, once again, thank you for staying all the way um, to the end of this video. Hopefully, you learned something in regards to the differences between the files and how we build it. And this is all you need to get started. Actually, once you get started on this and go deeper into it, then you there's obviously more deep things to it than just the commands that I'm showing. But this will be a really good starting point if you are working on Java or on the Rust or switching between Java or Rust. All right. Um, I will bring up the next series sometime next week on the performance on Java versus Rust on the REST API calls. But for now, thank you. Bye bye.